In the US, the market for used cars is booming with an annual sale of up to 45 million vehicles, as reported by Statista.com. This figure is triple the number of new cars sold. Given this trend, it's increasingly important to know how to thoroughly check a used car before you buy it. In this video, I'm going to tackle the tricky subject of car mileage. What mileage should be considered high? At what mileage point should you think twice before purchasing? When is it worth taking a risk? And how can you leverage mileage information to negotiate the price? Let's dive into these questions. It's tricky to say for sure that a certain mileage, say 200,000 miles, is excessively high for a used car. Some cars may never hit that mark, while for others, particularly some older models, such a reading on the odometer isn't necessarily a deal breaker. What does this depend on? Primarily it's about the type of engine and transmission. Body corrosion protection and several other less critical factors also play a role. When it comes to engines, this topic deserves a closer look. Generally, the most durable engines are those with larger capacities, without turbochargers, often V6 or V8 engines. These are usually older engines because modern cars use them less frequently due to government environmental regulations. Such engines can easily cover about 300,000 miles, so mileage isn't the main concern when choosing a car with this type of engine. As for more modern engines, with direct injection, smaller capacity, a delicate timing chain and various emission reduction systems, the concept of a high mileage drops to around 200,000 miles. This category can include turbocharged engines. However, it's important to research common engine problems and find out the average lifespan using forums and other independent sources for information. If you're looking to buy a car with a small turbocharged engine like the 1.0 EcoBoost or General Motors 1.4 Turbo, the threshold for high mileage drops to about 120,000 miles. Except as a fact that around this mileage the engine is likely to break down and will require expensive repairs or replacement. So for instance, a Ford F-150 with a 5-liter engine might last about 300,000 miles. A Honda CR-V with a 2.4-liter engine about 200,000 miles, and a Ford Focus with a 1-liter turbo engine up to 120,000 miles. These are of course average figures, and it's possible to kill any of these engines with enough effort. I'll talk more about that later. Now let's talk about the transmissions. If the car you're choosing is equipped with a manual gearbox, you can pretty much disregard its mileage capacity. It can last indefinitely and can be repaired at a reasonable cost. Next, in terms of reliability, are the conventional automatic transmissions. On average, they last about 150,000 miles before needing repairs, but at least they can be repaired. If the car is equipped with the CVT, continuously variable transmission, expect it to last about 100,000 miles before it needs serious repairs or even replacement of the transmission. By the way, replacing a CVT can cost upwards of $5,000. Dual clutch transmissions, DCT, are expected to have a similar lifespan. These transmissions are decent in themselves, but the clutch kits, which are as expensive as a wing from a Boeing airplane, and the constantly glitchy transmission control modules will drive you crazy. Moreover, repairing this transmission is very costly and often doesn't yield long-term results. These are the DSG from Volkswagen, Power Shift from Ford, and all other so-called semi-automatic units. Next, let's consider the body. There are cars on the market with good corrosion protection, but they are few. Galvanized bodies are no longer made. Some manufacturers offered aluminum or partially aluminum bodies that don't rust. However, most cars are made from regular metal and tend to rust quite quickly, especially if they sustain damage to the paintwork or are constantly exposed to chemicals used for winter road treatments. On average, a car's body in the US lasts about 10 years and up to 150,000 miles without major issues. After that, problems like spot corrosion begin and sometimes even rust holes in the body parts. Before buying a car, it's a good idea to inspect the fenders, wheel wells, seals, and the car's underside. These issues are often overlooked when purchasing a used vehicle, but they are crucial. Visit a car paint shop and ask about the cost to repair a rusty car floor or to properly repaint a door. You might be surprised. The condition of the body depends not just on the thickness and type of metal. In some states, cars rust faster because the climate is harsh on metal. Sometimes a vehicle is used on remote range, traveling a lot in dusty and rocky off-road conditions. This also leads to micro damages to the paint and accelerates the corrosion process. So a visual inspection is very important, and it's also crucial to investigate the car's history. Note that after accidents and body repairs, rust will appear much sooner and develop more aggressively than on factory painted parts. This leads to another important conclusion. You need to know the car's operational history. This will impact not only the body but also the engine, transmission, and other parts. When reviewing the car's history, there are several details to clarify. First, has the car been in any accidents? I recommend buying cars with a clean title only. It's best to avoid vehicles that have been involved even in minor accidents. Second, how frequently did the owner change the oil and filters? Irregular maintenance can significantly shorten the lifespan of the engine and transmission compared to average figures. However, nowadays more cars are not serviced at official dealerships and there is no service history available. Third, were there any expensive repairs? If the dealer has already repaired the engine with a complete teardown, such a car can hardly be considered very reliable. Fourth, how often did the car visit the dealership? If the previous owner visited the dealer twice a month for minor repairs, you can draw conclusions about the car's reliability. It might be best to walk away while you still can. You can obtain this information from the official dealer's database or by using the car's VIN on one of the paid services. Reports cost between $5 and $10, but they could save you a fortune. Overall, I believe that any modern car with over 120,000 miles can be considered high mileage. It's relatively safer to buy cars with less than 100,000 miles and a clear service history. However, even these options come with their own risks and potential surprises. And finally, don't forget to take a test drive and thoroughly visually inspect the car before making a decision. Make sure there are no strange noises in the car, the engine runs smoothly, the transmission shifts without jerks or delays, and the dashboard isn't lit up like a Christmas tree with warning lights and error messages.